Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday meditation. I'm so glad we're all here together. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button below to receive updates and notifications. Today we're joined by John Campbell, who will lead us in meditation. Then we have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, John.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, everybody. It's really lovely to see you all today, to be with you. Uh, Annie and I both have been, let's say, in the world and trying to remember not of the world for a while now. We've been shifting around, so it's lovely to get together and also to remember our dear friend Alan Cohen reminded us with a lovely phrase. He said, whenever a group comes together like this and talks about spiritual matters or focuses on love or meditation, he said, it reminds me of a saying that a rising tide lifts all the ships. And that was a remarkable reminder to us that when we come together, we have no idea of the people we're touching, thousands and thousands of miles away, but it's happening because all minds are joined. So it's really lovely to be here. And as I was reflecting about today, I haven't done this for a while, but I thought I'd like to talk a little bit about innocence, because it took me time to reach my innocence, and the release and the importance of the release of guilt. Guilt is the most useless and unnecessary emotion that we have, and it's really at the base of what the Course teaches, because all guilt will demand punishment. And the punishment comes in a myriad of ways. And I've found that if I'm not feeling joyful, which is all of our natural state, it's nearly always because I'm harboring still some guilt in my unconscious mind. And I'll just share how I don't know who taught me, but somebody taught me that before I go to bed, because I was realizing that I wasn't waking up in the morning in the usual way I normally do, which is quite bright and cheerful. And so I asked the Holy Spirit before going to sleep to help me release any deep residues of unconscious guilt in my unconscious mind. And wow, did it answer. So I had a dream, and all my past business affairs came into this dream. I was in a room with all these Nigerian military guys with machine guns, and I was in with all it was quite incredible, frightening. And I woke up, and then I felt Annie next to me, and I thought, oh, thank God, it's only a dream. And I'd go back to sleep again. And then there'd be another scene in my past life where I still obviously was holding guilt. And the same thing again, I'd say, oh my God. And then I'd wake up and see Annie, I'd go back to sleep again. And eventually I woke up in the morning feeling so much better. So it's a real tool, because we know that the original guilt is that mistaken belief that we ever separated from our source, from God. That's the real one. And all the guilt we incur along our life journey is all really just a reflection of that one guilt, which came about by a faulty misperception that we separated. So it's a very, very big thing, I think, to find our innocence. The Course is full of phrases about innocence and retaining our innocence and remembering our innocence. And so today I'd like to, first of all, read two passages which really underscore what happens to us when we practice these principles that we've been given. And the two are very interesting because many of you will know, I came through the 12-step program. Before I found the Course, I found the 12-step program. And this is very interesting, if I may. And this is something this is in the big book of AA, which was written many, 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 many years before the Course in Miracles. In fact, I think it's 1936. But it says this: if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. we will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. So that was written in 1936, or channeled, I think. So now I'd like to come to the course, which is from chapter 20, sections 4, paragraph 8. And maybe for this one, I'd invite you, if you feel you'd like to close your eyes and really let this sink in, because the course is something which, when we practice it and continue, but we're going to feel good, and that's after all what we're all seeking for, to feel good. So if you'd like to close your eyes, it may sink in a bit deeper. You may wonder how you can be at peace when, while you are in time, there is so much that must be done before the way to peace is open. Perhaps this seems impossible to you, but ask yourself, it is possible that God would have a plan for your salvation that does not work. Once you accept his plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. He will go before you, making straight your path, and leaving in your way no stones to trip on, and no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you. Not one seeming difficulty but will melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything except the only purpose that you would fulfill. As that was given you, so will its fulfillment be. God's guarantee will hold against all obstacles, for it rests on certainty and not contingency. It rests on you. And what can be more certain than a son of God?
Open your eyes and come back into the room. We have 17 minutes left for sharing. If you'd like to share, raise your hand and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Teresa.
Thank you, John. I just wanted to say, I mean, it was beautiful, but I really loved hearing the promises of recovery. It's fabulous to hear that again. I haven't heard it for years. So, anyway, the whole meditation. Thanks very much.
Hello?
Hi, Linda.
Sorry, Teresa. Sorry, just couldn't take myself on mute. Sorry, Linda. If
Yes.
I could just say thank you, Teresa. Yeah, it is beautiful, and it was interesting. I saw a photograph not long ago, a very archaic photograph of Bill Wilson, who was one of the co-founders of the 12-step movement, sitting with Helen and Bill Thetford.
Wow.
So they knew each other. So there's a great synergy between the two. You know, it's really wonderful. And I have heard it said that the 12 steps are the kindergarten of spirituality, and the Course in Miracles is the university degree, which is no way denigrating it. But for me, it was a first step, and a very wonderful first step. So thank you for sharing that. Sorry, Linda, you were saying.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
Yes, I could resonate with everything you said. And every night I say a long, loving prayer with lots of names. But what I haven't done is I haven't asked for bringing up the guilt that's in me. And I thought, yes, that's the bit that I've missed out on. I was absolutely speechless about it, because it's just what I needed to hear. Because my guilt over, my parents and myself, and I can say about, forgiveness for having the thought of separation. That's my biggest, the constant one. But the other ones also need to be brought up and let go of. So I've written down, yes, the Course in Miracles chapter 20, and I will be reading that. I thought it was just what I needed, because I feel riddled with guilt about lots of things. At my age, I've had so many things come up over the last year, and problems come up daily now. I had my hearing is gone a bit kaput. And yesterday I had a cyst come up, and I did manage to go and see a doctor. I went in and said, you've said, 2 to 3 days. I said, but I'm worried about this cyst. It was in a very delicate place. And I did see a doctor, a man doctor, and the receptionist that I'd been having a laugh with, she came in as a chaperone. And so I'm going to write the doctor, I'm going to say, you were a chaperone for me and the doctor for both of our protection. But these are coming up daily, things that, not another one. So, yes, I'm going to, at night, that's going to be part of my prayer. Thank you, John. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Resonated with me.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your honesty and sharing. It's beautiful. Yeah. 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 I think as parents, I mean, we have 6 children, and I think back, and what I find amazing is I've done a lot of working through with them, of very honest, kind of dialogues about where I felt I let them down during my life, and we have a lovely relationship. But still, things come up. And the other day, an interesting one suddenly came in my mind. You have to talk to Paul about you calling him vain. Now, Paul is my eldest son. He's 45 now. We have a wonderful relationship, really beautiful relationship. And when this came in my mind, it came into me, I suddenly saw a replay of a situation when he was about 14 years old, and he was in our bedroom, my former wife, his mum's, and my bedroom, and he was in front of the mirror, combing his hair and looking smart and all that. And he's a gorgeous young man. And I said to him, Paul, what are you doing that for? You're so vain. And of course, now where I am now, I think, what a horrible thing to say. Anyway, I said, okay, it's never too late. So I called him up. I said, Paul, I've just had this memory come up to me, and I said, I just want to say I'm so sorry. That is ridiculous. It's a wonderful thing. You were actually showing me a lesson, because I didn't love myself. You were showing me it's okay to love yourself. And you know what? He said, Dad, I can't believe it. You've just released me. He said, he's got a very high position in his company, and one of his people down the line said to him, Paul, I notice you never wear aftershave and you never wear any jewelry of any kind. Just nothing wrong, but I just wonder why that is. He said, because I think that's vain. The same word. 30 years later, that same word. And he was able to say, oh, Dad, thank you. I released that so that it was not about me. I said, it was never about you. This is just so exciting how the Holy Spirit works. So thank you for sharing that.
Who would like to share? Jim, and then Dennis.
Yes, thank you very much, John. I got the same out of it as Linda in terms of this practice at night of inviting the Holy Spirit to show me in my dreams unconscious guilt, because I've never thought of that, but it sounds, I'll try. It doesn't sound very pleasant, but it obviously works. So I'll try that this evening. But it's always amazing, really, how much guilt is carried, which the people who we feel we've harmed don't recognize. My father, when he was dying of cancer, I went to the hospital most days, and he was in his bed, slowly dying of cancer. And one day he said, I've not been a very good father to you, have I? And I was astonished. I didn't know he thought, I just didn't know he thought that. And I was able to reassure him, fortunately. I'm glad he said it, because he was able to die with letting that go. I was able to reassure him very sincerely, and he got the message that he had been a good father. Right. And so I think it shows the importance of acknowledging when we feel something to somebody. I did this with somebody about 15 years ago when a relationship ended, because it resulted in a lot of self-reflection. And I could remember the times I'd been quite selfish in this relationship. And I did say to her, because we were still in touch, and I remember being on the phone one day and saying, I hope you forgive me for my selfishness. And she was equally surprised. I mean, she said very sincerely, of course, there's, as though there was nothing in it, really. my own feelings were not something that she recognized in the same way as when my father said that to me. So I think it's just helpful to remember it's all in our own minds, really. There's some truth in it, obviously. We can't go through life without hurting people in some way or another. But it's never really as big as we make it in our minds. And that's a lot of burden that we carry. And I think the practice you've introduced us to is something I shall certainly be following up. So thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Yeah, and just follow on the proof. Oh no, Dennis, you were waiting. What were you wanting to say, Dennis?
Thank you, John, for what you read out. It seems to me to be, I think it was from the AA, talking about the human condition as well. And I never got there myself, but I was once told by a doctor to get some blood in my alcohol stream.
Love it. I love it, Dennis. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And when people ask me, well, I don't drink, and I say, no, when I got to spilling more than I drank, I knew it was time to stop. Thank you. Yeah. But that the wonderful thing, I want to share this as well, because this was mind blowing. I asked, have I cleared the guilt now, So last night, so that's the night after I did the one where last night I had another dream, which was amazing. I mean, completely off the wall, but then I've worked it out, it was an answer to me. And I was in a swimming pool, and Robert Holden and his wife were on the side, not in the pool. And they suddenly released a duck. And this duck came trotting in the water to me and cuddled me, and I cuddled the duck. And then the duck turned into a baby. And it was Robert and Holly's baby. I mean, their kids are grown up. I mean, completely off the wall if I didn't understand what was happening. Anyway, so I cuddled this baby, and the baby cuddled me. And then I thought, oh, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late for my talk I'm going to be giving about the Course in Miracles. So I turn up at this talk, and I'm 2 hours late. I'm thinking there's not going to be anybody there. And there were like 200 people there, and every one of my 6 children were there. I mean, anybody would say that the guy's insane, but I understood that was the message the Holy Spirit was telling me, that I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Because it was a lovely dream. Whereas the other one the night before was very scary. So thank you. Yeah.
Who would like to share? I'll jump in. I started out in 12-step recovery many years ago, and it was really a kindergarten for my spirituality. As you mentioned, it was so moving and different than the life I've been leading. And the big thing I got was that I have a higher power, and as I could connect with my higher power and receive guidance and wisdom, which I really took to, and that was the first rung of my ladder. And then when I went into graduated into 12-step into A Course in Miracles, it was same thing. Higher power became Holy Spirit, and I just feel so blessed to be able to connect to Holy Spirit, and I wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for 12-step recovery. And there's so many gifts in that. So thank you, John.
You're welcome. Yeah. It's all, the plan is all there, isn't it? I always like to say, we have to live our lives forward, but we'll only ever understand our lives backwards. And I really believe that. I say, that what I thought was terrible, that's why that happened, and that's why that happened. And we do get led. I totally believe that. We'll be shown wherever we are. Well, the Course says, isn't it? There are no accidents, or some words like to that effect, in God's plan. You're always where you're meant to be, with who you're meant to be with in every moment. And it takes a lot of the stress out of things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Now, who'd like to share? Norman.
Yes, thank you. I had experiences of past disasters, if you like, mishaps, some of which were actually life-threatening. And I thought to myself, well, what's going on here? And I've just realized I was always looked after. But just the other thought came into my mind was footprints in the sand, where the chap discovers there's only one set of footprints and Jesus had been carrying him all the time. So I was just going through a rough patch at the minute. And I think this is what it was all about. You know, you've been through life-threatening situations and everything worked out. You've been always being looked after. And all you have to do is ask and you'll get. If you don't ask, you won't get. It's just very simple. So thank you, Million. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Norman. Thank you. Yeah, and before we close, I'll quickly say as well, because I see Mel is on the screen there, and she's a Scot, a good Scot. I have to share, many of you know of my passion of football, and I'm really pleased because I found out that Robert Holden is also passionate about football, so we've developed a friendship over that. Last night, Scotland played in a World Cup qualifying game against Denmark, and Denmark was far superior for the whole game, far superior. But Scotland had this togetherness. They were playing not well at all, but they had this togetherness, and they made 3 substitutions, and each of them crossed themselves before they came onto the pitch. So, you know, I said to Annie, I said, oh, that's great, because we wanted Scotland to get to the World Cup finals, because they haven't been there for 48 years. Anyway,
there's a lot of Scottish people very happy today, John.
Yes, Mel, I'm glad to hear you. Annie will tell you, I was like a 10-year-old kid. I was jumping around because I just love the Scots when they go abroad. They're good fun. They're well behaved. They dress up like crazy people. Anyway, they scored 3 goals, which, even if you're not interested in football, they were God sent. They were God sent. They were out of this world, and they won the game or 2. So they're going to the World Cup finals together with England. In Canada, America, and Mexico in summer for the first time, I think, in 48 years. So, you know, what is it? With God, everything is possible. And they were so together. There was such a togetherness in that group. So I thought I'd share that just to end with.
Okay, we've come to come to the end of our time together. Thank you, John. That was wonderful. And take yourself off mute. Express your appreciation to John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
It was really
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.